year, I was sad to leave my biking partner of 13 plus years. Then I found an awesome group in Santa Monica, the Performance Bicycle Shop, and was riding with them for a year. But Kevin and I met on a bike ride, saved my life between the super fast guys and the group where my friends were, and I was somewhere in the middle. So Kevin and two other guys, Todd and who was the other guy?
Mike and Bob.
No, they weren't part of that. There was that random guy. Not random. Peter, yeah. I didn't mean random as in he's random, and just I'm not in touch with him. But I'm in touch with Todd. It was Todd and you. So it was a great ride, and we kept this friendship. So that's a really cool aspect to biking.
Right.
Is that you make great friends, and really for me, it has saved my LA life. Because as I left San Diego and biking there, it's been really nice to join these guys here in the valley. Not here, I guess we're here in Beverly Hills, but in the valley where we ride. So Kevin's been a great friend, so we ride every weekend. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your biking and just you, because he's got a great story, and I've heard snippets here and there, and he's given talks. And so I thought of him as I wanted someone inspiring, someone motivational, someone who's special in my life. And it's been definitely a cool thing to do in LA is to bike. So I recommend it. So tell us a little bit about what biking means to you and how you got started.
Okay, will do. Well, thank you for your invitation, and it's nice to be here, and I'm happy for you, and I'm happy to be your friend. It's been fun riding with you and getting to know you. For me, cycling has saved my life, for sure. It sounds kind of corny, but it literally has. I'm a little over 5 years sober, and actually before 5 years ago, I was not riding a bike. I had a life kind of changing incident where I was actually I had a DUI, and I was in a car accident, and I caused the accident. I was obviously under the influence of alcohol, and so in the course of all this stuff, I realized that my life was really out of control, but I had no idea it was out of control. And really it was that car crash that was like that divine intervention that really kind of pointed out, like, wait, you're out of your element, you're out of control. And you know, it took me a little bit of time after that accident, you know, and spending a night in jail and figuring out, like, what am I doing with my life. And my wife, and I have two kids, my wife Molly and my kids Barrett and Dylan are awesome, and I'm blessed and lucky to have them in my life still. At the time of the accident, my wife was trying to figure out how to let me know that she was going to leave me. I found out later.
I didn't remember that part of the story.
Yeah, months later, I found out that she had actually separated our bank accounts and was trying to, you know, she knew I was kind of borderline suicidal and didn't really know how to break it to me, you know, 'cause she was worried about her kids, you know, and she was in mom protective mode. So I didn't know all this, but, you know, kind of sobering up, I was able to kind of piece it together. But my wife said to me one night, she said, you know, when she let me back in the house after Christmas Eve, that was probably the worst Christmas Eve of both of our lives, and in that morning I was still drunk, actually, and her sister said to me something about, like, smelling like alcohol, and I'm like, you don't even know.
So you don't realize there's a problem until something like this happens?
Yeah, exactly. So basically she had told me that it was me, being her, she's like, it's me or the bottle, and I didn't know what to do, and luckily she had recommended a couple of groups of, you know, other people that were trying to stop drinking, and I made a decision, you know, and gave that a go, and it's been great ever since. You know, I haven't looked back. It hasn't been easy, but
tell me about that. Like, sometimes you're like, okay, so it was done. You made a decision.
No, you make a decision, but you kind of have to give up your will, you know, and find a higher power's will, you know, and some people call him God or whatever, the ocean, the sky, or, you know, but for me, I call him God. But the thing is, you know, I was able to find a group of people you know, had like-minded interests, you know, and to get to these meetings and go to these places and get to work and stuff, a friend of mine loaned me his bicycle.
Because you couldn't drive at the time.
I couldn't drive.
They took away your license? Okay.
Yeah.
For how long did they
It
do
took
that?
it, I think it was like 6 months. I can't even remember, but it might not even been that. But I didn't want to drive anymore. I just like, I was just kind of done, and I borrowed a friend's bike, and it was initially just to get from, you know, the orange line to the bus to work, and then I'd ride to work. So, but you know, getting on and off the bus was such a big deal, you know, and I'd like, I get there and you're looking, you know, you're trying to pull the rack down, and you've got the whole bus looking at you like, come on, what are you doing? Hurry up, I got time, you know. So, and I'm trying to pull the rack, so it's like I started like, you know what, I'm just gonna ride to work. And it was only 5 miles, but I started doing it more and more, and after 2,500 miles, I'm like, I'm loving this thing. And
after 2,500?
2,500, and then...
So this was how many times back and forth? Or
yeah, I don't
what was the mileage from home
the home to work was 5 miles, but I started riding on the weekends more, and I was wearing jeans and stuff, and
you didn't have the kit yet?
I didn't have the kit yet, yeah. But,
that's the terminology when you're
the kit, the gear, right? But after that first year of riding, I broke his bike. I broke the frame. I put 5,000 miles on that bike. It was a Schwinn. And I felt so bad. And I'm like, dude, I broke your bike. Let me pay you. He's like, no, I'm so happy that, you know, you've actually got your you again, you know? And in that process of riding my bike and kind of breathing in, you know, and breathing out fear, like breathing in, to me, it was breathing in my higher power, and breathing out the fear. And I started feeling better about myself. And you know, that first year was a big deal of, you know, staying sober and riding my bike. But the bike became my meditation. It became my new addiction. And since then, it's been over 5 years, and I've ridden over 43,000 miles in those 5 years. So I'm kind of still crazy. I'm just not drinking, you know. But it's been great. I mean, in these 5 years, I've been able to, you know, make amends with my parents and my family, and that was a big deal because my mother and father met at you know, doing psychedelic light shows in the 60s. I'm a child of the 60s, late 60s, and my mom and dad were getting high at their light shows. With my dad got high with Jim Morrison, and you know, my mom was doing the strobes and overhead projectors with gels and oils, and you know, I was in my mom's belly, you know, so it's like I was at a Doors show. But they were big, you know, hippies, and when I was born, my dad wasn't even at the hospital. He had left my mom, and so my mom kind of raised me as a single mom, and my dad came back into my life around 5th grade, and he was a scary guy. He was a truck driver. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic, which kind of, you know, was interesting because basically I had become that guy. You know, years later, 30-some years later, I became that guy. But he scared me. You know, he offered me some hash when I was in 5th grade. I remember we went outside, and my mom was down in the city, and we smoked some hash, and he played "Sympathy for the Devil," and asked me what they were talking about, and I didn't know. And I didn't even know I was high, let alone. So it's like, I have this long history of stuff, and but the point is, I was abused, you know, by my dad, you know, and I love my mom, and I couldn't live at home, so I was in and out of the house from, you know, about 7th grade, you know, and until I finally wound up in juvenile hall. I dropped out of high school and started skateboarding semi-professionally, and that was fun. And then once I wound up in juvie, they had put me on the runaway list, and I was like, well, what did you kick me out of the house? Why am I on the runaway list? And it was kind of funny. So they let me back in the house, but I had to work for my dad, and my dad was still this big scary guy. He went from this hippie to this like kind of redneck, you know, truck driving guy, and now he's on a ranch, and I need to be working on the ranch. And you know, the last time I lived at home, my dad came after me, and he was drunk, and he said, you need to be working, you know, on the ranch. And I said, well, Dad, you know, I'm at school now. I went back to school and I finished school.
Good.
Graduated, you know, with a 61%, but you know, that was my algebra. Actually, I painted my way art, you know,
right.
and drawing through high school, and I had a great teacher.
And you were going to tell us about that, right?
Totally, but
Okay.
but yeah, so that stuff got me through high school. But once I got into art school, I got a very small scholarship, and my grandmother and my mom helped me kind of like get into art school, and then basically. My dad, I remember that last night that I lived at home, you know, he said I needed to be working on the ranch. And I said that something silly like, I can't do that when I'm, you know, at the library. I'm working at the library at the art school. You know, I have a girlfriend. I have homework. But I can't be doing 20 hours worth a week of building fence, you know, for free. And that was it. For free, he turned over the table and he came at me. And that was the last time I lived at home, when I put my foot behind him and I kind of pushed him here. He's a big guy, and he went down, and I kicked him in the stomach, and I said, I'm out of here. And that was the last time I lived at home. So cut to my amends with this person, you know, years later, you know, I was married, remarried, and I invited him to my wedding with Molly, and he didn't come, and I was like, well, good, I don't care. And I'd found out that his voice, my mom really liked to force the issue of, talk to your dad, he wants to say hi. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. Hi, yes, yeah, Broncos look good. Yeah, you know, I didn't really want to have that conversation with him. And I noticed his voice sounded funny. And I was like, why does his voice sound so weird? And I said, well, maybe he's going through some treatment, he has cancer or something. And I was kind of like, I don't know. So I asked my mom, I said, what's going on? And turned out that he was going through a sex change. And I was like, wow. And of course, my mom didn't even know anything about it. She didn't know how to tell me. But I was so selfish that I thought he felt bad for how he had treated me, so he's going to castrate himself. I actually was that selfish because I was drinking and I was like all about me.
But it could have something to do with
maybe,
all of his
I don't know,
life
but it
going on.
turns out exactly, and that's what I'm getting to is for years, for another 10, almost 15 years, I didn't talk to that person. I was like, good riddance. I don't need that person in my life. And not that I mind if someone has their sex change, but this person was abusive to me.
Was
you
your
know,
dad who did this.
This person was mean and abusive to me, and I didn't want to deal with that person. So I was like, great, this is a great excuse not to deal with that person. So when I started, you know, sobering up, I realized I kind of need to make amends with this person. And so I went back and I met with her. And I realized that, you know, she was just doing the best that she could as a parent, and that she was locked in the closet when she was a kid. When one of two dads would come by the house, she didn't know which one was her dad. And so all of a sudden, I was like, wow. So when that person was abusive to me and stuff, you know.
Had compassion, huh?
Yeah, I was like, wow, so you were just afraid, you know, because you didn't know what you were doing, you know. And I know as a parent now, I don't know what I'm doing. There's no manual on being a parent, you know, but I have a lot more, like you said, compassion for that person. We have a great relationship now. So this part of my sobriety is actually, you know, making amends with these kind of ghosts or demons from my past and stuff. And it's really interesting. We have a good relationship now. But anyway, a little sidetracked. But yeah, so...
and your art.
So my art, I came out here, wow, almost... I guess I was 20. I'm 48 now. So I've been doing motion picture advertising for that many years. I guess it's 27 years of doing artwork. And
his art is amazing. The one time I got to stop in because I had a craft. It was so cool. Good ride until the very. I know.
So yeah, I've been blessed with some talent that I've been able to take care of. You know, my family with that stuff, and you know, back to my family. It's like they're the best thing in my life. You know, and with you know, it's great that I've been able to sober up. I've been able to help other people, you know, get their families back too. And I'm a board member at a recovery house, and I work with other guys that are trying to. I work with men, you know. I don't,